So, hello everybody, welcome to the Stoke Mandeville Plastic Surgery webinar series. And I'm James KK Chan.
I'm Rebecca Shirley.
And today we have Dr. Raja Sabapathy, who's flown in all the way from Coimbatore in India to pick up his Honorary Fellowship at the Royal College of Surgeons of England, which is where we are now.
So very kindly, he's agreed to answer a small selection of questions about life in general and his philosophy and purpose. So I'm going to start with the first question.
Yeah.
What would you do if you weren't a plastic surgeon?
Yeah. Rebecca, I can't think of myself being other than being a doctor. So, and I always thought I should be a surgeon, but actually I really wanted to be a neurosurgeon. That was my main aim. That came about because when I was a general surgeon, I assisted a superficial temporal artery to middle cerebral anastomosis with a neurosurgeon. So I thought that the future was in microsurgery, and at the same time scans were coming, CT scan was coming. But it so happened that I became a roommate of a plastic surgeon trainee. So in my hostel, so I was talking to him about microsurgery, and he kept on telling me, "Hey guy, look, there's more microsurgery in plastic surgery than in neurosurgery." So I think actually that's the way I became a plastic. I took up a plastic surgery, but then neurosurgery was great. I thought it offered a lot of challenges. The results were at those days were very poor because the scans were not. The CT scan was not there, so it was just coming. So I thought it was going to revolutionize everything. So, but then when I learned that there was more microsurgery in plastics, so I switched over to plastic.
What about another job that's very precise, like a watchmaker or something like that?
No, I think somewhere, even when I was a small boy, my mother always used to get me to become a doctor, a surgeon. So nothing else ever went into my head. I can't really foresee myself, see myself anything other than a surgeon. Whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, I don't know, but then it has been a surgeon, right?
Okay. A tough one for you. If you could invite 6 people from any time in history to your dinner party, who would they be and why?
Yeah. So you really have to think of a lot of people. Not necessarily they have to be in medicine. Not necessarily you have to be in medicine. So I would say one is Mahatma Gandhi.
I knew you'd say that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because he really able to connect to people. So even in surgery we say we have to connect. And then he was connecting people to India when there were no radio was just coming in, there are no newspapers, and there is no mass methods of communication.
Mm-hmm.
That means he had something sort of amazing guy. So that's one person whom I love to. And same thing is Nelson Mandela. He'll be another guy. The most important thing is I don't know how anybody could be so inside and then really keep his sameness. Okay, so and the most thing I loved was when he was went out of the jail and somebody said, "Now you are free." He just said, "I was always free." My God, that's it. The third guy whom I like is Muhammad Ali, the boxer. Okay?
Yeah, the greatest.
So the greatest. Anyway, I didn't. So a few months back, I was visiting professor in Louisville. So Muhammad Ali came from Louisville. So I knew a little about him. But then this time I had time. I went to the Muhammad Ali Museum, and I really loved it. In the sense, what the power of conviction and all that. That was very nice. Then I would invite Narayana Murthy, I think the founder of Infosys company. So they all him. And Jamshedji Tata, Tatas, so he'll be the one person because we really molded our place, in the way of the Tatas, not only their entrepreneurship but then their reach and all that. I used to keep on telling people that we have to be the Tatas in healthcare. Okay, so they were inspirational. I don't know, if you have space, I'll take the Mayo Brothers.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So when I was a medical student, so there used to be an old bookshop in Chennai where you get books for 1 rupee. I was talking about 50 years ago. Okay. Jesus Family College. So I bought a book called The Doctor's Mayo. So what is 1 rupee? That means I think 5 cents.
Yeah.
I think the best investment I ever made in my life. So I read the book quite a few times. It's truly inspirational.
I need to read that.
Yeah.
It's a very, very inspirational book. So these are, I think, more than 6, I think.
Yeah, and all visionaries and all leaders.
Yeah, that's right. And so
People push the envelope.
So if you think of any field you take, and for achieving greatness, you find the trend will be common.
Mm.
So they'll have a conviction of the purpose, and then the willingness to do anything to go for that, walk the extra mile. Okay, they don't suffer. I think they work hard. So I think that will be the
Brilliant. Okay.
Can I ask you one question?
Yeah.
So I've always been very impressed by your attitude towards women, but you haven't invited any women. So is there a woman that stands up that you'd be interested to invite to your dinner party?
See, actually, not that not women, but then I just told the people who were just inspired, but great value for women. And one person whom I would really love is to Indra Nooyi, who was CEO of PepsiCo. So I just really think, how do they rise up to that world level, and then do that. So there, I think, particularly when she did, I think she Women's World, and then to rise up to the competition, and do a good job of it. And as they say, Rudyard Kipling's talk, the poem If. So he said, if you would walk with the kings and still keep the common touch. So similarly, I think she had that idea. I think you could be with the President of the United States. And I know the family. I met her mother in Chennai, and she had come to our hospital. I think they all extraordinarily grounded. So I think she should be one of the.
Thank you. So
One of my favourite poems, actually.
Who gave you the best piece of advice, and what was it?
Piece of advice. I would say Harold Klein. See, Harold Klein, when we were there, I think he was at his best. I think maybe another time. Each surgeon has got his peak when they're operating and all that. But he was full of ideas. I think he was a very genial man. And I was posted for a little longer time with him. In 1 year, you get posted to a lot of consults. You rotate. So normally you get 1 month. I got 2.5 months. I got with him. So I always used to tell him that I want to go back in India and start. Okay. So he said that if you want to, I asked him a question: how do you start a hand injury service? He said the most important are the 3 A's. He said first is availability, second is affability, and third is ability. So I said, Raja, remember the same order. It's not the ability, it's not the first, it's an availability. So that really helped, because when we went to Coimbatore, so we are a very small hospital, and there are a lot of people telling us, no, you're doing a mistake by being here. You should join a big hospital, or you should go to a bigger city. Okay, but then we thought, if you work in too many places, but then what client said was, you have to be in a place, he said. You need to address when the people want to come back to. You do something and they want to come back to, they need an address to come back to. Okay, so no matter what, we decided that we will not join any other place. So we stuck there. And then apart from the 3 A's, I added 1 A, that's affordability. So availability, affability, being nice to people, ability, and Indian situation, affordability. So the 4th A.
A fun one. What was a nickname when you were a kid?
Yeah, my mother, nobody called me as a nickname. They all used to call me Sabapathy. Sabha, they used to call me. But my mother used to call me Thambi. Thambi means small boy.
Okay. Were you a small boy?
I'm a small boy, but then she called me Thambi. So a lot of them used to call me Thambi.
I want to ask you a question about music. So first of all, do you listen to music in theatre? And what sort of music do you like?
Yeah. We initially put a music in the theatre in the very, very, very beginning. In 91 when we started, we was doing a long time. But then he stopped it because we are operating under block. We are operating under a block, and all of them are wide awake. And in our place, I thought people thought that if you have music, they were not taking that. We are not taking it too seriously.
Right.
So that's the reason we stopped music. Again, and then that was strong. So I never got to went to music just because we are doing it on the block, and they are all awake. And I always think that patients must think that you are very serious.
Yeah.
Okay, and worst thing is that if ever there should be a complication, they must not think that the doctor was going to miss it, because still a lot of people in our place think that surgery is a very serious thing. Yeah. And not only we need to cater to their ideas, but it has to be that way. Mm-hmm. So because of that we stopped. And the reason for stopping was, and one of the things was, it was film music, which was somehow that song came in. It's called Ponal Pagutam. That means doesn't matter if life goes away. Okay, so it was a very philosophical song. But then he coming in the theatre, oh my God, the most inappropriate song to have. So then I said, no, we'll not have music. So that's why music is not there. But I got nothing against music.
So outside of theatre, do you have a certain genre of music that you like?
Yeah, then what I mean, things that I really the old film songs and Tamil songs which often resonate, and which have got a deeper meaning. There's one great lyric in Tamil Kannada, some amazing philosophy thoughts, but they used it for very appropriately. That's used it. And in English, when I was young, I saw that album of Carpenters.
Right.
Yeah.
So still, if I have that, I think music is just not the music alone. You always add it up to the experience. Say, as you're growing up and all that. I think that makes it special.
Of all the things that you've achieved in your career, what's the one that you're most proud of?
Yeah, this really, I have to think what is that thing is most proud of. I would say that people recognize in your own city, I think that's what I'm most proud about. Then, because I personally feel it is easy to get recognized outside.
Right.
Outside. So what we get recognized by the public of Coimbatore. I think that's the thing which I most like. I think I should tell you a small incident. One of our anesthesiologists, I think this incident really made me really proud. Mm-hmm. So anesthesiologist went to one of the busy shopping, just like central London, on street, and then parked in the no parking area, and then went in to get something. Naturally, when he came out, the policeman was there. And he was so shocked, oh my God, he got it. And then he said, he thought he will escape by telling that he's a doctor. And that made things worse, because he said, if doctors do like this, how can we do? The policeman put the other way around. He thought he'd leave him away. So things are going bad and bad. And then at that time, his mobile rang. The doctor's mobile rang from the hospital. And then he said in Tamil, okay man, just shift the case, I'll come. Then shift to the operating room, I'll come, he told. So the policeman was listening. He said, till then he had asked what is he just was not bothered. Even he said, no, doctor is not bothered. Policeman was not bothered. Then he said, what are you? He said, I work in Ganga hospital. Again, I'm an anesthesiologist. So immediately the policeman said, oh, that means there is something very important. Okay? So then he just, for a second, policeman was staring, and then he said, you told you'll come in 5 minutes. You can't, because I know the traffic is there. Then he said, if that is there, that means there must be something important. Then he said, follow me. I will escort you and send you off.
Wow.
So he just took him again, said, then said, go now. Okay, so I think that is really nice. That I think you can get all these awards and all that, but then at the end of the day, what will really matter is your patient or your operation definitely in your hospital will be all right. And then in your city, people have to. I think this is a very remarkable thing of his, because the image that we could make. I think that would be the most.
Do you have a favourite operation?
Yes, I have not one. I have two.
Good.
Yeah, and both of them relate to the thumb. One is toe transfer, is a polystation. The reason being why you should say one is microsurgery, there is non-microsurgery. But I think in polystation you have everything that is required in hand surgery. I think meticulousness, dissection, and adjusting tension, length, fixing, everything is there. But you see, in most operations, other than these two, there are times when you could relax. Suppose you are raising an LD flap. So the moment after you raise the pedicle, I think the rest of you are at a fast pace. So there are certain areas which are only certain times you have to be really attentive. You have to be very this thing. Whereas in polystation and toe transfer, I think from start to finish, you have to be good. Yeah, I think these are only two operations, where you are this thing concentrating. You have to be good all the time. Whereas the tendon transfers, you need to be good when you are adjusting the tension.
Yeah.
But when you harvest the tendons, it's okay. There are these spaces. Whereas in polystation and toe transfer, in both
consistently excellent.
So in summary, you like to do something where you're constantly having to concentrate.
So there's more challenge. It's more. These are two operations I still find a challenge.
Can I ask a cheeky question then? Toe to hand transfer. How long does it take your unit?
To do transfer, we take about 6 hours.
Yeah.
6 hours. I always think within 120K time, you have to preparing is. See 120K time. Every big transfers. In the beginning we used to do this. 120K time for preparing the place. 120K time harvesting. 120K time for inserting.
Yeah.
So we used to put 120K time. Okay. So normally it should be 4.5 hours for any major procedure. So, but for this, it will be 6 hours.
Okay. A more serious one now. Can you share a harrowing experience as a surgeon?
Oh, I have many. Harrowing experience means something where you really doesn't want to happen again. Yeah, that's right. So I can never forget even today. It happened about 28 years ago. Our first scalp replant. Right. My first scalp replant. Okay, so we did a good scalp replant. We did it, and then the patient was shifted to the ward. Yeah. It took a long time. Okay, in the beginning, I never seen one. Okay, but did one. Okay, it was nice. And the patient shifted over. Suddenly, myself and Dr. Bhatt were having coffee and sitting and then saying, we did it. Okay, it's fine. Suddenly, we had a huge noise in the room, from the wards. So both of us left and went there to see what happens. Then we found that it was from the scalp replant patient. All the attendants, they're all crying, all this thing. So what happened was, when they shifted the patient, suddenly found the whole face was getting blood from the. It's almost like somebody was pouring water, blood. Unfortunately, what happened was when they shifted the patient, the hand of the nurse, he slipped, and he just took the scalp off. He just slipped, and so the artery got ruptured. So it is a partial rupture. So all of them had partial ruptures, and then just blood stood. So we rushed back, immediately brought the data, all that we did. And by the time I should have lost a lot of blood, like a young girl. And that means now it has got injured, so we need a vein graft. Okay, try and it couldn't work, then we have to take off the scalp replant. So now if you see, the outcome becomes so different.
Mm.
Having a full hair, normal hair, and all that. So that unfortunately for that girl, even the ear had been avulsed. Like a ear was lost. So everything was there, everything was lost. That one second. So I always find, I've had a lot of horrendous experiences. I found out, I was asked to give a talk on complications I wish I never had. That was a very well-loved talk. All of them said, oh my God, how are you still practicing? So this is one of the talk, and I found there's one basic thing which was there in all the horrendous complications is none of them involved your skill levels, none of them involved techniques, none of them involved having this thing, infrastructure or equipments. All of them were totally related to a small, either in the pre-op, intra-op or post-op, some not attention to detail. Nothing was related to your technique. Everything was related to all big, where you would say, but then suppose you do a flap, you look, flap goes. See, that's not I think it's a complication. There's horrendous experiences also where terribly things go wrong. They are the ones, I would say that, right?
Yeah.
Another time I had one small child where symbrecadactyly, putting free topopharyngeal transfers into that. Okay, so the parents themselves were very concerned. I told them it's good and all that. If you put that, sometimes the pocket could be very tight and then you would need warm water. So all the time I used to check the temperature of water before. Somehow that day, when they gave, they put on the water. It was very hot. So after the water went, it's hot. And then the whole skin came off. That means burns. So you just imagine a small child, less than a year old. And we just completed a very nice surgery. Very well done. Okay? And then 1 second, and then what do you have? What a face you have to go to meet the parents. So I tell you a lot of all the horrendous complications have never been due to not paying attention to some minor things only give rise to horrendous complications.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry to make you relive those experiences. We'll move on to a more light-hearted question next then.
So we've already spoken a little bit about this, which is when you went back to India after completing your fellowship, and we'd heard a rumour that you went around with your loops looking for replants, and you've already told us that was incorrect. But we're interested just to find out more about that time when you came back and wanted to start offering microsurgical procedures.
So suppose you want to do replants, then patients are everywhere. I feel in any country there'll still be hands, fingers getting chopped, the hands getting amputated. So the only thing is when I was coming back from Louisville and Cannesburg, I thought as soon as you go, you'd be swarmed up with patients, you'd be very busy, but nothing happened. Nobody came. So you were just idling. Okay? So that's a very heartbreaking moment. And one of the things that we realized was people have to know. That means you have to do. So you need to really project. And at that time I had a great mentor, one Dr. Pediatrics, Ravikma, who used to like me very much. And he used to be a very popular speaker everywhere. So whenever he used to be invited, he used to tell, hey, there's one young fellow, has come, nice fellow. I'll also bring him. You please give him 10 minutes to talk. So first time I went and talked. After that, when he came again, he said, hey, what you made a fool of yourself? You shouldn't talk that way. So because when I went and talked, he said, I talked about microsurgery, the whole flow, all that. He said, you are talking to persons whom you want to refer GPs. You only have to say, got cut, we join. Got cut, we join. Got cut, we join. You send this way. That's it. Okay, you have to speak. So that is my first lesson, to say appropriately spreading the message. That's one. And secondly, we found that nobody got their hands cut off with money in the pocket. Yeah, this is true. And there is no insurance in India at that time. Insurance per me in India was about 3 to 4%. So it has to be paid by people. So nobody had money in the pocket. Then you get, and then you don't even have time to get things ready, and you have to do it anyway. So we had to have a tough call, and then said, no, okay, no matter what, now we'll do. Whether they pay, not, now we'll do it off now. Okay, so that was a big, nice decision we took. And then we felt that of all the hand surgery, replant is the furthest in technical skills. Then we thought, no, if you are not asking money for replants, why are you asking for crossing of labs? Okay, so we'll start doing things, everything, okay, straight away, and then take a call however it comes. So that is again a big gamble, very big gamble we took. I think that was the thing for success. So of course we used to tell them that no, it used to cost this much, and we'll go and do it. But later on, many didn't pay so much. Somebody paid little, but then the volume picked up. They said, if you get hit, go there. They'll take care. That's the message that goes to in the city. So everyone said it is a safe place to go if you have an injury. So in that way, we built up a huge volume. And we also took a very big decision, since you do a replant, if it fails, you will not charge him so much. I think, because I didn't want the patient to feel that, oh my God, still I don't have a hand, I don't have any money also. Okay? So if I had been in my own place, at least I have the money. So we decided that no, if you fail, that means no, you will not charge him for the replant, you will charge him for the shortening closure. Of course, you made a little bit of money for the materials used. So that made that if we lose, all lost. Anesthetist lost, hospital lost, I lost, all lost. So everyone used to think, oh, we have to win. So that again is a very, very important steps.
So when you look back at that time, why do you think it was that that model worked? It sounds as if it could easily have gone very wrong.
Yeah, that's what I said. No, God has can see that we went right because our outcomes are superb. That's it. No? And they saw that you're working hard. So the patient is under block, and patient finds you're working so many hours. You're working. Okay. So in the end, they all feel it's good. No? So I think outcomes are very good. I think that's the thing which really tilted the balance.
Great. What does it mean to be an honorary fellow now of the Royal College of Surgeons of England?
No, it's great. It feels great because getting through the examination is one. Again, you being recognized as an honorary fellow, that means you're recognized by your peers. So that is very important. I think to be recognized by peers and by your patients, both of them are different. The other thing is it satisfies your ego if you write the exam and pass. But then here this is peer recognition, is great.
Okay, so very last question. I have so many rich overriding memories of Ganga, like the armory plant on the first morning, or you organising my childcare at one day's notice. So we're interested, working at Stoke Mandeville, what you remember about your time there as a fellow.
Yeah,
do you have one overriding memory?
One overriding memory was people are very nice. People are extremely nice, and they made me feel at home. I think that's very important. Bruce, Jerome, Porrick, Regan, they're all there. So they all made me feel at home. And I also realized that you need to really do what is needed. So when I started, I started because they wanted to give me a job. They wanted to give me a job because I came as a honorary fellow without money. They thought it's salary. That means you can't survive in UK without it. But then they said, no, on paper it will be SHO, but you can do all jobs. So I used to go up and down. I used to operating every time. But I initially found that on the day when you have to do an SHO, that means you have to take the bloods and all that. So that means you're far away from your career. But then now you need to realize that you came here to get for microsurgery training, okay? And nobody asked you to come. You came, so do that. But then when you started doing that, I used to find the nurses, all of them, and I used to feel so good and made your this thing very nice. And then even when I was leaving, both in Stoke and in Cannisburn, they all used to say, hey, this, you think this may be useful for you? And then they used to give me a lot of good but discarded things which no longer used. And they used to tell us, this will be good, this will not work. And a lot of small inside information, about setting up a place. That's very invaluable.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Lovely interview. Very special day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
That's it for now.